session of the day, we have the privilege of seeing some of our industry leading voices take the hot seat. And to moderate them, we have none other than our own, very own Mr. Manav Thadani, founder chairman, Hotelivate. Joining him on stage are Mr. Dhruv Hoon, Senior Vice President, Strategic Development, the Oberoi Group, Ms. Laure Morvan, Chief Development Officer, Luxury Brands Asia, Accor, and Mr. Peter Stettler, Commissioner PT Wincor Bali, Senior Advisor, Jakarta Setiabudi International. Please give them a round of applause.
I think, good evening. I think the most difficult thing is figuring out where you're going to sit, right? Well, it's a hot seat. We can be going round and round, musical chairs if we wanted to. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the last session of THINC Indonesia 2025. I'm going to start, Peter, with you. Perhaps give your introduction, a quick 1-minute introduction, who you are, what you do.
Okay. Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for taking me here on the panel. Learned a lot today and yesterday. I am with Jakarta Setiabudi International. This is a company that I worked for the last 39 years on the operator side, and now for the last 4 years on the owner side. So I had the privilege of enjoying sitting on both sides of the table.
Good afternoon. So I'm with Accor. Hopefully I don't need to introduce Accor. I'm based in Singapore and I look after the development of our luxury brands for Asia.
Dhruv?
So I work with the Oberoi Group. I'm responsible for strategic development, based out of India, but we have hotels here. So there is opportunity to expand in Asia and elsewhere. So the role is actually more global, although the company is based out of India.
Cool. So, you know, the theme here is 10 years, a decade gone by. Laure, I'll perhaps start with you. A lot has changed in the last 10 years. Let's start with one thing that you feel that has changed the most in the last 10 years.
So, is it about my company or about the industry? Or maybe that would be...
you can look at it whichever perspective you want to give.
Interestingly, I was sending a company profile of Accor yesterday, and then there was 10 years ago, and now what has changed at Accor, and we went from 13 to 45 brands. So
the question was what
has changed?
Were you, yeah, I mean, you can talk about your company. Go ahead.
And actually, so the question was, what was I doing 10 years ago, maybe? So I was looking after one brand, which was Sofitel for the region, and now I look after 6 brands, obviously. So still for the region. So I guess what has changed quite a lot is indeed, so I think hotel groups in general have expanded and refined their hotel portfolio, I would say, because Accor went from 13 to 45 brands, but as you mentioned a couple of times, Manav, during the conference, we are not the only ones, of course, who have expanded dramatically our portfolio, but it's not only for brands, it's as well for expertise, you know, with residential department as well, food and beverage department, and so on. So I guess at least for hotel companies, it's maybe the scale, but the scale as well in terms of the expertise platforms, which has changed.
So you said 10 years ago, you've been with Accor for 18 years, and you were in charge of Sofitel.
Yeah, 19
So is
years.
this property signed by you?
Yes.
So we have to thank you for this property.
I think we have to thank, of course, the owner and Gaurav as well, who was the CDO at that time, who of course was very involved. But I did work on the contract, yes.
Right, Peter. How about you? 10 years, you were with Hyatt. We know that.
Yep. Maybe the biggest change was happening during COVID, when the bottom fell out on the occupancies. When we had to sit together with the owners and look very carefully at all the costs, look at payroll, reinvent ourselves. That was one of the biggest changes that happened in our company. The constant that we were privileged to have was we had brilliant owners in all our Hyatt hotels who came as partners, who helped us get through this period, some with financial means, some with sitting together and looking at all the costs and helping us get through this period, and then help us get back up when COVID was over. This proved to me something that's very important. I mean, we talked about what the owners expect from the operator and the operator expect from the owners, and we talked about financial feasibility, we talked about business plans, we talked about ROIs, etc. But the one thing that I didn't hear, or maybe I overheard it, is trust. If the owner selects an operator, I think one of the most basic and most important factors is finding out whether you trust this person. It's basically a marriage. If you're lucky, 50, 60, 70 years, as long as the contracts are made. You want to make sure that you trust this operator and the operator trusts this owner, that you're actually going in the same direction. To do so, I think total transparency is very important before you sign anything. You need to know that you align your goals, you align your ambitions, you align what's feasible and what's not feasible, and that you are absolutely 100% true, open to each other. That an owner lays down his finances and says, look, that's all the money I have, I don't have any more, can you do it, can you not do it? From an operator to say, look, our brand standards are this and this and this. On that brand, we have a couple of other brands. Maybe this brand is not right for you. Maybe another brand would work better for this destination or for the money you have or for this market you're in. I think total openness and total transparency, and to find out from each other, am I trusting this person to be a partner with me for the next 20, 30, 40 years? Is this gonna work in the bad times as well as the good times? And if there is any doubt coming up at that stage, it's better to shake hands and leave and each one go his own way. Right. Because you make a very, very big commitment. The owner makes a very big commitment financially, and also from his statute, because he chooses a brand for various reasons. The operator makes a big commitment also, because depending which destination he goes in, he will be the only one of that brand which will be in that destination. So you want to make sure you get together with the partner that suits you, that will join you in the same aspirations and the same goals.
Right. Dhruv, 10 years ago?
Well, 10 years ago, I asked to work with Marriott, and I remember the first time I came to Bali, 2015. And at that time, I was based out of India, but I had responsibility for Indonesia between 2015 and end of 2016. And,
how did that happen?
How did that happen? It just happened. I was fortunate. And the first time, again, Jody is here in the room. Yeah, there he is. And he was to be with Marriott, and he took me around Jakarta, and I think we came to Bali. I can't remember if he was with me or not, but there were just two hotels that Marriott had in Bali. The Courtyard here in Nusa Dua and the Ritz-Carlton had just opened, and the Mandapa had just about was opening in Ubud. I think there were not more than 8 or maybe 10 Marriott hotels at that time in the whole of Indonesia. And I just checked with Neeraj. They said there are 82 hotels of Marriott operating today. So I think in 10 years, a lot has happened. And I'm back in Bali.
So what's the biggest change that has happened, other than that fact that you moved from Marriott to Oberoi's?
Well,
and Marriott to Hilton to Oberoi's, if I'm correct.
Correct. So with me, or generally in the industry landscape?
Generally in the industry.
I think a lot has happened. At least for the others, there are so many more brands. and more brands coming up today. I think all operators are looking to service a new segment and to grow their brands, and I think most of them have been quite successful. There have been few panelists who spoke about the other way as well, but I think most brands have had success. I don't know if you know that the first Moxie that was signed in Asia Pacific was in Bandung in 2016.
And it never opened.
No, it opened.
Oh, it opened.
It
Okay.
opened. Yeah, it opened.
Look, we're living in a world of crisis, right? There's trade wars, there's all kinds of disruptions that are happening. And as a result of that, some destinations are losing their charm, some destinations are gaining by default. How do you see this redistribution of demand playing out in Asia? You know, are you seeing a lot of that in the markets that you're tracking, that certain markets have gained a lot and certain markets have lost? Maybe Laure, you can start, because you can maybe even add the Middle East flavor.
Yeah, well, I think so. What did benefit from that is the growth of the domestic market. And that was true, for instance, in the region for Vietnam during COVID and after COVID. I know that so there was some comments about it for Indonesia. So I guess so indeed with the current context, so domestic and sometimes as well so regional travel would be benefiting from this. And what that means, it means that maybe you have to put an additional emphasis on the experiential side, because people who are coming may already be familiar with the destination. They know already the culture, so they would be looking even more for experiential travel, and that puts additional pressure, I think, on the hotel product indeed, to get it right and to have true experiential results.
Right. Peter, how about you? Do you see any particular markets that you've been tracking?
Before COVID, China was booming for Indonesia. It was the market which was the fastest growing one. Then came COVID, and that completely collapsed. And then we started seeing how important the Indonesian market can actually be, the domestic market. And we adjusted a lot of the experimental points to the Indonesian market. And the result was that when we, first of all, they basically carried our hotels until COVID was over. And when it was over, we noticed that the fruits of our labor were that the Indonesian market kept growing even after COVID. Yes, of course, there was a readjustment in percentage-wise because the international market was coming back in. But in pure numbers, the Indonesian market was still growing after COVID. So it shows a couple of things. It shows that the middle class has grown, the demand for luxury vacation have grown, that the Indonesian market has matured a lot and has very much an understanding what they can expect from a five-star hotel, and they're demanding it.
Yeah. Dhruv, you want to answer that, or should I ask you something? Look, again, related to the geopolitical, right? You are predominantly in India, right? And you're dependent, and yet you are here in Bali. You've got a couple of other hotels. Share with us, what your vision for this part of the world is, because you've got 2 hotels that you opened in Bali many, many years ago, and after that there's been no further development, in fact, in the whole of Southeast Asia. So what's changed?
Yes, it will be surprising for some people to know that the Oberoi Bali opened in 1978, a long, long time ago. And I don't think there were very many international brands in Bali at that time. So it's nearly 50 years. And then Lombok, the Oberoi in Lombok, opened in the late 90s. The company also owns land in Ubud, and there are plans to develop a hotel there now. I think that's something that should happen soon. The land has been with the company for also a very long time. But you're absolutely right. I think there is so much opportunity for us in Southeast Asia, whether it's more in Indonesia, which I think we must capitalize on our existing reputation of the hotels here. Of course, Thailand, Philippines, Vietnam, these are all opportunities which we must chase and get the right product. I think we are really proud of what we've had here for a very long time. And the challenge here is, Manav, that there are very few markets in Indonesia, and I could be corrected here, and there are far more knowledgeable people here, but there are very few markets in Indonesia that can really give the premium rate that we require for our brand. So Bali being one important market, I think there could be similar islands, but it needs very good connectivity.
The infrastructure is a problem.
Correct. Connectivity is a problem. Jakarta, of course, we must have a hotel here, but really.
But would you really do a hotel in Jakarta? Let's talk about that for a minute. And you guys are much more experienced, right? From what I've seen, the Jakarta hotel rates, even in the luxury segment, are not where they should perhaps be, right? So does it make sense for an ultra luxury, Oberoi's to come in, or a Raffles to be built, or a new Park? Well, you have a Park Hyatt, I think, in Jakarta, right? And
we have a Grand Hyatt and a Park Hyatt.
Right.
Yes.
And if I'm sorry if I may say so, it's kind of struggled from what other Park Hyatts should have, do typically. So is Jakarta, for a minute, if we were is Jakarta a good market for luxury hotels today?
Depending a little bit.
You're on the owner side now. You're no longer defending the brands.
No, I'm not defending the brand. There's a lot of good hotels. I got a lot of fantastic hotels in Jakarta. But you have to have a couple of elements which were, I think, by Anthony already mentioned today. First of all, location is very important. Access to that location is important. Multi-purpose, you have a mall attached to it. You have office towers attached. You have there's something happening in that place. There's other hotels which are 5-star, which are wonderful hotels in Jakarta, where the location is maybe not as favorable. The access from the airport is not as favorable. These are freestanding hotels. So once you're in the hotel, unless it's really a real destination, which is I gotta be in there, this hotel might struggle.
Right. Laure, how about you? Jakarta, what do you have out there?
We have Raffles and Fairmont already.
Okay.
So we'd like to bring the Sofitel brand to Jakarta, and I think as well our lifestyle brands, surely. And I think that rate is something, but there's a big market for MICE as well as F&B. Again, there was a comment about that earlier in the conference on how there's a need for new F&B concepts and so on. But anyway, so those two, so F&B and including MICE can represent as well a large chunk of your revenue. So a bit like I've seen in some hotels as well in India. So it still makes commercial sense as well. So for us to develop indeed.
But do you get the rates? The question was, do you get the rates that you get in other parts of the world?
No.
So your Fairmont rate would be lower than the global average of Fairmont. I would imagine that's the same thing with Park Hyatt or Grand Hyatt, right?
Yeah.
Same thing, and it's unfair. In my opinion, it's unfair. The hotels in Jakarta, they can compete with any hotel, be in Singapore, be in Hong Kong, which demand double the rate. One of the reasons, I think, is that every time you think you can increase your rate a little bit, there's another new 5-star hotel coming in town, and another one. And it's not regulated at all. So the difference between rates of 5-star and 4-star get a little bit mixed up, and then anything which is below that is basically free for all, and that shouldn't be. And I mean, I'm not for government regulations per se. I'm for free market, etc. But in that respect, I think the hotels in Jakarta are undervalued and underappreciated by the international market.
Right. So do you still want to do a hotel in Jakarta?
Well, I think that's the current situation, and I've been looking at the numbers in Jakarta. It's always been like that, and I think that's true for several cities in India as well, right, where city ADRs are much lower. But I think from a presence standpoint, it might be important. If we have to grow in the country, if we get the right product, maybe not a very large hotel, but something which is there as to represent the brand in the capital, I think it may be more strategic than to just look at the ADRs.
Right. Peter, I'm going to come to you, right? If you had to kill one luxury standard or trend which is hurting the guest experience, what would that be? And you know, it's hurting the guest experience more than it helps. What would that be if you had to get rid of one standard in a luxury hotel? And I'll come back to the two of you so that.
That's a very, very interesting question.
Okay, I'll tell you what what it is for me, right? It's the in-room check-in. Why do I need that? You know.
Well, there's a lot of people who go for that, who want to have a minimum of contact. It starts when they make the bookings. They don't want to go anymore through OTAs, or they want to go to booking.com, etc. They want to go straight to the Hyatt website because
no,
maybe they're a member.
The website. We're talking about the in-room checking in.
Yes, I'm coming to that.
Right.
So they start there already. They make the booking with, say, Hyatt.com or Marriott.com or whatever. That is recognized as a member of their program. Somebody goes in the computer and checks right away what's their preference, etc. And it says, he wants to check in seamlessly. He doesn't want to go to the front office. So, you know what kind of room he wants. So he gets his check-in with the phone.
So that's just my pet peeve. I'm asking you, what trend would you get rid of that you think doesn't need to be there? Laure, do you have any?
Sometimes I'm wondering about turn-down service, to be fair, but...
Okay, so turn-down service. How about you, Dhruv?
But I just say it for myself. I think
it's for yourself.
Minibar should be just complimentary. You should not be like going and checking out and counting what you consume in any hotel.
Right. How much minibar have you had in the last few days here?
I don't use it, but I think if you're on a holiday, people would use it, right? I think you hadn't given me an opportunity. You took us out to pub hopping last evening, so there was no opportunity to use the minibar.
Right. Anything that you think that is, since you're the person from the most with maximum operations experience here?
I think we put much too many things in the rooms which are not really necessary, which we could take out and have it in housekeeping if somebody asks for it. At one time, the brand standard came up that you have in every room have an ironing board and an iron. It might make sense in any resort where a family normally occupies the room, but if you're in Jakarta, where you deal mostly with business people, it's hard for me to believe that every business person who goes to the room is going to take out his shirt from his suitcase and iron it himself so that he looks great tomorrow morning in the meeting. He's not going to do that. If he needs it, he can call and gets it done. And that's a service that a five-star hotel should offer, but not having an iron board and an iron in every room.
I think I want to just check with the audience here, right? How many of you in the last 48 hours that you've been in Bali have you put your television set on in your room? Anyone here? One person. So that's a easy one, right? To get rid of, because you know, I've been sitting here in the front today and I've been watching people while sessions have been going on. And I can, right now everyone's attention, but I can tell you 50% of the time, people are on their phone doing something or the other, right? And I think the large screen television, the 40-inch, 50-inch, and that whole exercise, I don't see televisions being used. I used to use them myself 10 years ago, 5 years ago, right? But I think now I walk in and the first thing I do is actually switch it off because often it's left on welcoming the guest. But frankly speaking, that's an expense, if you ask me, can be gotten rid of. I may be better off getting maybe an AI pad or something else that can be used. And I like your idea of ordering service. Ironing, sure, I'm never going to iron my shirt. If you're willing to check me in, then I might have a butler who will go and get that done for me. So anyway, next question, how is AI going to affect luxury travel? Peter, anything that you You think that's going to change, or technology is going to?
I think it's going to dramatically change our industry. The challenge I see with AI is, are the associates which are working in these hotels, are they up to speed with this stuff? Do we hire the right persons to actually work this AI to the capacity that it's meant? Or are we running two tracks at the same time, the human one and the AI one? I think it's absolutely critical that hotel operators make sure they arm themselves with employees who know what they're doing in order to take the best benefit out of AI.
Right. Laure, you know, Accor is getting big into lifestyle hotels. For me, isn't lifestyle and luxury the same thing on two sides of a coin?
I was afraid you were going to ask me that.
I don't know.
I don't know why. Yesterday you must have said something. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to end up with that question. To which I was thinking, okay, the answer is really not easy. And I was trying to think that through. I guess it's true that the lines are actually becoming a bit blurry. That's quite correct, because what's so important about lifestyle, I would say it's design. It's F&B, and sometimes it might be a different form of service. You know, can be a more relaxed service or something different. So, I guess in terms of the service, you would have a difference between luxury and lifestyle, because maybe lifestyle customers would expect less service, right? But for design. Again, so you may see a bit the difference there, but it's true that for F&B is extremely important for luxury, and then what's important is to have the right concepts, right? Is to be able to attract locals as well to your
So are you saying that lifestyle doesn't have F&B, or?
No. Actually, F&B is a crucial component of lifestyle hotels, and that's why. So that's maybe where the line is getting a bit blurred, because they build very strong concepts, and this is as well what we want for our luxury hotels. Interestingly, for instance, in some of our luxury hotels, we use some of the F&B platforms that were bought by our lifestyle division, right? So that's right. One of the services that we can offer. But I guess maybe some lifestyle hotels may be more focused as well on nightlife. So that's where one of the differences would be.
Right. Dhruv, Oberoi's, I think, have 20 hotels signed up, or 21 hotels signed up. It's the first time you've got the 25, so I'm losing track. If you had to choose around Southeast Asia, not just Indonesia, which are the markets that you want to come in, and are you also willing to put some money on the table?
I think the key markets, we'd love to be in Singapore, love to be in Thailand, resort destinations, Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, there's an opportunity. But certainly more in Indonesia, where we already have a base. So these are the few markets I think we must focus on. And yes, again, to your second question, if there is an opportunity that requires us to put in some capital, we are happy to do that. I mean, I don't know if you're aware that both the hotels in Indonesia, in Bali and Lombok, are co-owned by the Oberoi Group.
Okay.
And JVs.
Peter, if you had to take one destination that you've been around, and if there were shifting travel patterns that will gain, with all the travel patterns that are happening, which destination would that be in Asia Pac? What do you think is the next big destination?
In Indonesia?
Could be Indonesia, or if you want to talk about the larger region.
I think Vietnam is not yet fully developed. I think there is potential there.
Any particular market in Vietnam, or generally?
Say again?
Any particular market in Vietnam, or?
No, in general. I
think
it's underdeveloped, especially in the five-star market, and it has potential, large potential. I would put on that one.
Laure, how about you?
I would say Japan, maybe. I've been spending a lot of time in Japan over the last few months, and we can see a lot of interest. So in that market, and that's for some of the big established destinations, but as well with secondary, tertiary destinations, where there's a lot of interest for both domestic, regional, and I think soon, I'm sure, international market as well.
Dhruv, what about you?
I think the first question was along the same lines.
So,
different markets.
but that, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I see some questions, right? I'm going to pick one from the audience. What's the one, it showed up out here. So are owners squeezing operators too hard or operators under-delivering? How about that? Laure, you seem to be surprised with your mouth open, so maybe we'll ask you that one first. Are owners squeezing operators too much or are operators under-delivering?
How do you want me to answer that one?
Diplomatically, of course.
Yeah, exactly. Which
And I believe we have the maximum number of Accor owners in the audience, so you need to be careful here.
Be careful.
No, I mean, I think it's a constructive dialogue, right? You need to have a constructive dialogue. So I guess, yeah, so owners, of course, are putting pressures. They are asking, but at the end of the day, I mean, normally I have joking when I say it's a constructive dialogue, right? So it's about, of course, they challenge you on the budget. There's more and more as well companies which have asset managers as well. So that's maybe I would say it's a normal and healthy process as well. So then it's about how you explain as well.
But are you? The question is, which one is better? Like, are the owners over squeezing or are the operators underperforming? You can't choose both.
Of course, I would have to say that we are being then too squeezed.
You're underperforming. No. Peter, how about you? Because you've recently been on both sides.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. For 39 years, we were told, we were telling the owners, that's the maximum we can do. We can't do any better. And the last 4 years, I've been telling the operators, you have to do better. It's very simple, right? I think the uncomfortable truth, and it's not a trade secret, but operators in generally try to keep a little bit of reserve in their pocket because on one point they want to make sure they over-deliver rather than under-deliver. The second much more important point for the operators, and I mean by the operator, I don't mean necessarily the brand, I mean the general manager and his team. Most of them, in most of the brands that operate internationally, they're incentivized by their performance. So of course they're interested in achieving, first of all, the financial figures because that mostly drives the biggest part of the bonus. So of course they have an interest in putting the figures a little bit more let's put it conservative, conservatively aggressive, whereas of course the owner is aware of that too, and he would like to have a little bit more aggressive than conservative. So
I think these are two long answers. It was one or the other. You have to choose one. You can't. It's
I said before, it's a partnership. You have to come together and go through this business plan and eventually agree to a figure which normally is in the middle, because as operator it doesn't matter what you throw on the table, it will be questioned, but this and but that. So eventually you have to come to some sort of agreement what the budget should be for next year. Also from an owner's point of view, of course, he has financial obligations.
So Dhruv, I'm sorry, I need, which one do you think, where do you fall? I think, are you underperforming or there are no Oberoi owners here, so you can obviously...
Well, we don't have very many hotels that are currently managed. Most of the hotels are owned. So I don't think whether I'm the best person to answer that question. But if I were to look at it, I think it is a right for the owner to question the operator for better performance. And absolutely, if the operator is underperforming, they have all the right to question.
I think you need to take the second question, which is That may be more easier for you, right? What's the one thing hotels pretend to care about but actually don't? Look, I'm not asking the difficult questions, so someone in the audience is...
When you say hotels as in the brand,
Yeah. What's the one thing your brand pretends to care about but actually doesn't?
I think it's people. And it's not for my brand, I'm just saying generally. I think brands do talk about people, but how much of it is really genuine and how much of it is not, I think that is debatable.
Peter, Laure?
Thank you. I got an applause.
Laure, nothing? There's nothing that you pretend to care about but actually your brand doesn't, or you don't?
Nothing comes to mind, but
Peter, how about you?
I have to stay neutral here.
You'll take
I'm
the
looking at
fifth?
it from both sides.
Are you pleading the fifth?
I'm taking the fifth, exactly, yeah.
Okay, I like these questions, right? What's the one policy at your own hotel brand that you secretly disagree with? Come on, everyone has that, right? It's there, it's the question. I'm not asking these questions, right? My life has suddenly been made a lot easier.
Who's sending these questions?
What's the one policy at your own hotel brand? So at the Oberois that you secretly disagree with?
It's a secret, yes.
What?
It's a secret.
Come on, guys, it's the hot seat. You need to be, speak up. How are you going to build the trust? Because there's a question on trust coming up.
Please say something.
Peter, how about you?
Oh, I have to take the fifth here again, because I'm on both sides. I cannot argue about that.
Okay, I think we'll maybe move away. Let's see, is there anything else that we want to talk about? No, let me go back to my question. I think they're slightly better. Okay, here's one. In the future of luxury development in Asia, is it going to be greener or is it going to be grander?
Greener.
Greener?
yeah, I would.
Sorry, it's raining now.
So yeah, I would say greener. But greener in the sense of okay, of course, more ESG focused. But I think people are maybe not looking anymore for the grand chandeliers and so on. They are looking for something a bit sometimes more in tune with the destination. So.
Peter, how about you?
Greener.
Greener?
Absolutely, yes.
But you build the Grand Hyatt.
But very green. You might not know that, but Grand Hyatt Jakarta, for example, is running 3 of its floors purely on solar. They were installed about 10 years ago. The system works very well. There's no other space to enlarge this, but it shows that even in a city, which doesn't see much sun these days, right? Because it's the clouds of pollution are pretty hard, but even there in a city like that, solar power works.
Right. So maybe I'll come back to Dhruv. What's the one thing that your brand does better than everyone else on stage? And once he's used that, the other two cannot say the same thing. So.
Okay, I'll just rephrase that answer. I wouldn't say better, but I think what we really take pride in, and I'm not kind of saying others cannot do it, but I think there's a very simple philosophy at the Oberoi Group. It's actually just 3 words. It's guest is everything. And I think that cascades down right from the top to the doorman of the hotel. And everybody understands that. It's easy to understand. It's easy to implement. And that's what makes us who we are, taking care of our guests.
Laure?
So what I'm being told very often is that we listen to owners. So that's something for Accor, at least in the region.
Are there Accor owners here who have anything to say to, this is a good time to bring up, you want to renegotiate your contract or you're not happy with the performance? Can we have a show of hands for Accor owners? You're lucky today. No one's here.
Well, they are being polite.
Peter, how about you?
I think Hyatt has a very powerful membership program, the World of Hyatt. It got about 10 years ago, it got actually globalized so that every hotel has access to every information which is being put in any hotel in the world, any Hyatt hotel in the world, about this particular guest. And this is an enormously powerful tool, because you get a lot of information about that guest before he arrives in your hotel, if you bother to look into the system and see what can you do for this guest, that his experience from the get-go is an excellent one. Whether it's his preferences in room type, or his preferences in meals, or his preference what he like to have in a minibar, or he wants to be left alone. Don't bother with turn down, but don't bother every 5 minutes knocking on the door, bringing something else, etc. So that's a very powerful tool, and it's maybe an advantage versus our colleague from the Oberoi, that we have the worldwide span of 1,500 plus hotels now. So that's very valuable for a company. And Hilton has the same thing, and Marriott has the same thing. That's a very powerful tool.
Right. We spoke a little bit, it came up today on F&B. Your views on, I'll start with you, your views on F&B, and even though Hyatt is one of the best brands, or at least known to be one of the best brands in F&B, going forward, do you see that trend changing? Do you see more outside people being allowed to?
Yeah, it came up today in this meeting, and absolutely, I see there's many more hotels which are going to outsource some of their F&B facilities. Take Jakarta. Jakarta, 20 years ago, everybody had to go to a hotel if he wanted to have a wonderful meal. In the last 20 years, Jakarta has become a complete foodie place, which can compete with any city around Asia. 20 years ago, we would build this hotel with 4 or 5 facilities, F&B facilities. We would have Japanese, we would have Chinese, we would have Western, we would have cafe, whatever. And everything was kind of done right, but too ambitious. Like, we would put the Japanese restaurant in a hotel. And we would say, okay, what do we serve there? Okay, sushi, sashimi, robatayaki, teppanyaki, like the whole range. And that has dramatically changed over the last 20 years, because unless you specialize, you say, okay, we're going to build a sushi bar, and that's all we do. And in order to make this absolutely authentic, be the best in town, you have to get 2 or 3 sushi chefs, and they stay a maximum of 1 year, because then they have to go back to Japan to learn again how it's 100% correct, and get another 3 guys come in and do it. Otherwise, you're not going to survive. Okay, we do Japanese, we do a little bit everything, or Chinese. We do a Chinese restaurant, we do everything. We do dim sum, we do grilled, we walk, whatever. Doesn't work anymore today, because there's so many freestanding restaurants that popped up in Jakarta which do it extremely well, specialized. So
you're saying outsourcing is the way to go?
I think outsourcing in certain areas is the way to go. I think there's always an opportunity to have the all-day dining. You can, that hotel operator might do it yourself, and maybe you have one specialty restaurant which you're really famous for or fond of, and that can be an Indonesian restaurant which is specialized in one typical area. But if you're not 100% sure that you can do it really authentic and really well and be the best in town, don't try to make a mix mash, and yes, it's kind of a little bit there and kind of a little here. That doesn't work anymore in today's world. So maybe, become a landlord and say, okay, we take
I wanted to keep it short because we're running out of time. So I've heard it's more outsourcing as opposed to everyone else.
Yes.
I want to close out something I started yesterday. So I just want to ask a quick question. An Oberoi hotel, what's the base category room size?
In the city?
Wherever, yeah.
So in the good old days, the room sizes were something like 34, 35 square meters.
Today,
Today, if we would do, probably we'd do closer to 45 square meters.
45. How about you for a Raffles or a Fairmont?
City center location. So Fairmont would be at 45, and Raffles would be around 60.
And how about you for a Park Hyatt?
Park Hyatt, 55, 60.
55, 60.
Yeah.
I did a survey yesterday, size matters. Can we put that poll up? If we have that poll, there we go. So none of you will have hotels out here. I mean, clearly what the audience is saying that we don't want to do 45 and above. It's actually the 36. So I guess, you know, you can open and hide Regency maybe at that. And I don't know, you'll probably end up doing a Pullman and you'll probably end up doing a Trident. But, you know, I think luxury is becoming challenging, right? And I think part of it is why conversation with Anthony today that just building pure play luxury today is a lot more challenging. You have to do it with a larger mixed use project and so forth. I think we're at the end of the day. I don't want to kind of hold on to the people, you know, who might want to head off. Do you have any closing remarks before anything, you know, future of luxury, or do you think that's the way to go, or do you think you would encourage owners to do other positionings?
I think there will always be a market for luxury.
Okay.
There will always be around people in the world who have the money and who demand luxury. But we have to adjust to the changing times and the changing demands of these guests if we want to stay relevant.
Sure. Laure, how about you? And by the way, I love your new 25 hours in Jakarta.
Thank you, sir. So yes, I think there will always be a potential for luxury, but luxury is not only one segment, right? It goes from entry luxury to ultra luxury, and then you would have traditional and lifestyle. So it's that, and that's why I think there will be a future, because you need to have the right product as well for the right location, for the right development cost, obviously.
How about you, Dhruv?
Yeah, we're very optimistic about luxury. You can drive the premiums that you need. You can run a more profitable business. You know, and you can really be the best in the category that you are. So, and this market is growing, right? The middle class is moving towards, you know, getting richer in most markets, especially in Asia. So at least in this part of the world, the opportunity is immense.
Right. Well, thank you so much to all three of you. You were very sporting. I didn't share any questions with them, so they were out here in the cold, but I think we did quite good, all of us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Round of applause to them.
Thank you.